Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to podcast Room 303. I'm your host, Jermaine Mendes. This is my co-host, Nicholas Moorhan. And as always, we have with us the EPE. Today's episode 200, that's 2 century marks, will involve NBA and NHL finals, 4 teams vying for the Stanley Cup trophy and the Larry O'Brien trophy. We'll be getting into pop culture pick'em, top 5 summer activities. Today's order is Eric, Nick, myself, and we'll also be touching on head-to-head. Then we'll be wrapping the episode with a special announcement. Without further ado, how are you doing this evening, Nick?
I think this is one of the things that I very rarely plan out what to say, right? I plan out the PCP, right? I do research for the topics that we need to talk about, whatever those topics are. But the question of the podcast that I'm most unprepared for is how I'm actually doing today. It's like a Grand Central Station of trains run into themselves in my head. So I'd be like, I'm doing sports.
Life.
So almost got shown a red card yesterday at rec soccer. So that was fun against a team of lawyers playing keeper. So that was fun. Had the most hardo ref I think I've ever had in intramural rec men's league anything. He was like checking people for shin guards. He was like, he was I think aligned with the other team because we had 4 cards called on us, including one where, and the reason that I almost got shown a red is because one of our guys jumped in the box to block a ball, just jumped straight up. Ball hit his arm. So what is referee Jermaine calling that?
Incidental contact if it's by his side.
So he jumped like this, right? Arms by his side, ball hit him in the arm. In the 18-yard box. What are you calling that?
I don't think that.
Did he extend his arm?
So what it looked like happened, so he was directly in front of me as keeper. What looked like happened is I thought the ball hit him in the chest, to be honest. So I didn't see the ball hit it. The ref ran up, shows him a straight red card.
What?
Into the game. Straight red card.
Nah, man, you got the bot. It's a known rule in soccer that if you get a handball in the box, your arm has to move away from your body.
Right.
That's why they tell you to grab your nuts when you jump, because you're gonna hang on to those and protect it. Your hand won't come out, and you won't get the red card or the penalty. That's right. So if the arm didn't move, that should not have been a red. I don't know why I'm getting so worked up.
His arm he might have jumped like this, right? Like jumped out.
Yeah.
He's a former basketball player, so he's not used to jumping with arms in a body. So he might have jumped out like this. So maybe that's where he called it. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's still not a straight red.
But it was nowhere near a straight red. It was nowhere near. I thought you gave red on handballs when, like, it's clear the attacker beats the defender, and the only option the defender has to stop it is to, like, put a hand on the ball.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Especially in rec league.
But then because we operate by this concept, and I know the 3 of us operate by this universal guiding principle of sports will work itself out in the form of the saying, ball don't lie. So ball don't lie, I got to save the penalty, right? I guessed the right side. I just did a bad keeper effort, and I dove out instead of down and out. And the ball went right under me. It was very upsetting.
Ugh.
I knew what side he was going to. I guessed, I dove, and it went right under me. Because he hit a little piddly dink shot. I thought he was going to try to muscle it in there.
From what you described, it sounds like you could get a 10-day for Chelsea, bro. Go try out.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're handing out contracts. I don't want $700 million. I just want $1, maybe $2 million.
Yeah, what's the league minimum? I'll take that.
I'm willing to negotiate down to $550,000.
Eric, how you doing this evening?
Doing good, man. Glad to be a part of episode 200. Just 100%ed my first video game ever in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, so that was dope.
Did you like the first game?
Didn't play it, and I knew if I brought it up, you were going to say something, but it's all good. 100% of the second one. I might go back and do it for the first one. Who knows?
Nobody believes you. Nobody believes you.
Picks or it didn't happen.
You ain't playing the first one. What a knucklehead.
Yeah,
hey, there you go. 100%. That's tight. Everyone loves finishing things completely. At least I do. I don't really consider trophies part of the 100%, but some people may do. All right. If we got nothing else, let's go ahead and get into pop culture pick'em.
Yep. Let me get everything presented here. So top culture pick'em today is going to be top 5 summer activities. I do have the first pick, so once I get this screen shared, I will go first. With my first pick, and it's going to sound like a creepy activity, but it's not like I'm out there bird watching, right? But I love women in sundresses so much that I will just go walk out and just look for women in sundresses. So I like to sundress gaze, bro. It's like I love a woman in a sundress. That's probably shouldn't be my number 1 pick, but that's what I'm going with, man.
Probably should have gone with bird watching.
Sundress gazing. That's a bold strategy there, Cotton.
Bro, tell me. All right, so just real quick, not to divert us too much, but is a woman doesn't we're not talking about whatever beauty, just a woman in a sundress? Is that not the sexiest thing in the world to you guys, yes. Or am I the only one?
100%.
Okay, thank you. I thought I was like, it can't just be me.
It's not the sexiest thing in the world.
Sexiest thing in the world.
It's sexy. No, incorrect.
Oh yeah,
a sundress is sexy.
It's sexy, but not the sexiest thing in the world.
To me,
that's probably subjective, but I'm not here. I'm not on a philosophical podcast. I'm on a sports-based gambling podcast.
I'm just saying, if we're gonna make bold proclamations, that's not the sexiest thing in the world.
In my opinion, let me preface it. In my opinion, it's the sexiest thing in the world.
Okay, so you would like a dumb girl who can't hold a conversation in a sundress than a girl who can hold a conversation is intelligent?
Not if she's not in a sundress.
I'm just saying, I feel like that's sexier. If she could be in a t-shirt and jeans as long as she's not dumb as hell.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a chick that you can have a conversation with is definitely sexier, but I'm just talking about purely physical, my guy. All right, purely physical. A sundress to me is the sexiest thing a woman could wear. But let's not.
What are those classic Eric caveats? All right, Nick. What is your number 1 pick?
Let's get a ruling on this. My first pick would be baseball. Are we considering that a summer activity?
I do.
Do we allow that to be a summer activity?
Yeah.
Then my first pick will be baseball.
Playing or going to games or just baseball?
I don't care, dude.
Okay. All right.
There is nothing better than going to a baseball game. There is also nothing better than sitting in the outfield on a warm summer day, and there's just a nice gentle day games in summer. Growing up when you would play Saturday tournaments, don't get me wrong, games on the lights are fun, in varsity, but a good summer day game, an 11 a.m. day game, oof, that's where it's at.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't actually know what I didn't, obviously very unprepared for this as always. So first pick, I'm going cookouts.
Oh, good.
Can't go wrong with a cookout in the summertime.
Nope.
Good hot dog, good hamburger, little pool action. Yeah, so I'll go cookout, and then next I'll go sunbathing.
God damn it.
Look at that, unprepared, still snaking motherfuckers.
I'm gonna play off Jermaine's sunbathing. I'm gonna say swimming.
All right. I mean, yeah, that's a fair one.
Swimming in the winter is fun for a second when you're let's do a polar plunge. But then you're out because you have to be because you're gonna die.
Wow, that's dramatic.
It felt like I was gonna die when we did that polar plunge.
But you're dramatic.
Tad bit.
So that's pretty on brand.
Whatever, dog. You know what? It was cold. It was 8 degrees outside when we did that shit.
It was not 8 degrees, Eric.
That's what it felt like. Anyway.
Oh my god.
The wind chill, Jermaine.
So something for me that for my second pick, I'm not sure if other people have this experience, but for me, summertime was always when Pops would bust out the convertible and we'd do like long convertible drives. That to me is like just the epitome of summer. So that for me, drop top season, baby. That's what I was gonna call it. And then
less creepy, so we're doing better.
And then after that, probably my favorite way to
picking up women in sundresses.
Dude, drop top, cruise by a chick in a sundress, and it all ties in with my third one. Naps in the hammock and a nice like summer breeze at night. Bro, hammock naps are the best, dude.
Well, you just had 2 of them though. You can't take hammock naps and summer breezes at night.
No. I'm saying in combination, like just when you're on the hammock and it's like.
Why are you napping at night? That's a way to ruin your sleep schedule.
Like, right before,
All right, moving on to what I think next. My third pick is going to be fishing.
That's a good one.
It doesn't even have to be crazy. You don't even have to catch anything. Just go into the lake, sitting on shore, just flipping it. Like there could be no fish there. I don't care. For 3 hours, I'm sitting in nature.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice. I'm gonna go ahead and take boats / jet skis.
God damn it.
If you've never been on a motorized aquatic vehicle, you have not lived, my friend. Outdoor showers.
Oh, good call. Going back to your boats, is there anything more miserable? Is there anything more miserable or a bigger gap in emotional feelings between a boat in the winter and a boat in the summer?
Yeah.
For those of you who listen to this podcast and have been on a boat and have had to, maybe for your job, been on a boat in winter, boats in winter or boats even with like the slightest drop in temperature and wind are awful.
It has to be under a certain temperature, though.
Because
boats in like 72-degree weather is banging. There's no sweat.
Right. But there's no sweat. But boats in like 60-degree weather with like a 20-knot wind, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, we've all been there. Boats in that weather at night when it's actually like 40 degrees with the 20-knot winds. Yeah, you can't stay warm enough. Shout out those mask suits.
All right, and we're not blowing past your fourth pick, dude. Outdoor showers, amazing.
Bro, outdoor showers, there is nothing better than an outdoor shower. Naked, nature, water pouring down, birds chirping in the wind, sun shining. Bro, outdoor showers are untouchable. It's a non sequitur when we're discussing my dream house. If I ever get married, if she says no to an outdoor shower, it's divorce season, bro.
Well, that's got to be in the contract, though.
Yeah, for sure.
That's got to be a non-exclusion clause.
I was like, that's a real quick way to lose 20 mil.
No doubt. And a McDonald's franchise. My fourth pick, I'm going to go with fireworks.
Fireworks is a solid fucking choice.
Fireworks go hard, dude. That was my next pick. 4th of July fireworks, dude. It's the best time of season, best time of the year. With my fourth pick, eating watermelon.
It's good.
It's my favorite fruit when it's in season. And then my fifth pick.
Yeah, every fucking fruit's his favorite fruit when it's in season.
It changes by season, bro. And with my fifth pick, somebody already said swimming, and somebody already said boats and jet skis. But can I take going to the beach?
No.
All right, whatever. Fuck you.
Sunbathing, cookouts, boats, outdoor showers, swimming, fishing, fireworks. No, that's basically the beach.
All right.
Eric, you could put the beach, bro. Nobody said the beach.
All right, going to the beach. That's clearly one of the best summer activities. So dude, that's my final pick.
Again, so I'll say again, The difference between the boardwalk in winter and the boardwalk in summer is astronomical. If you've ever been to Virginia Beach, Virginia, the boardwalk in winter is depressing as fuck. And it's cold and it's awful. The boardwalk in summer is amazing. You get a little boardwalk burger, you get you some ice cream. And that was, because we're a professional podcast, I'm going to round out my top 5 by saying eating ice cream.
Solid choice. I thought about that multiple times online, but I love my list so far. And man, I could go a lot of different directions here. Whew, what am I going to do here? Because like summer vacation is the bee's knees, bro. When you get to take 2 months off or 2 weeks off and you go do something. Let's go ahead and put I'll put cliff jumping / snorkeling.
Ooh.
I mean, those are top-notch activities. Probably could have put diving somewhere in there, but you could probably dive in the wintertime as well.
Oh, diving in the wintertime sucks.
Nah. It's just because you and Eric are soft.
Okay. Okay.
Cold water's mental, bro. That's why cold showers are awesome.
Cold water is not mental.
1,000% it is, bro.
No, it is not, dude. There's
Yes,
a
it
reason
is.
when I was teaching scuba diving, I had to wear 10 millimeters on my chest or I'd get hypothermia. Hypothermia is not mental.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
No, hyperthermia is real. I was like, being a bitch to cold water is mental.
True. But if you're in cold water, I agree. Can we not both be saying the same thing?
Yeah, we're saying the same thing. I'm just sticking with my statement. I'm not talking about hypothermia. Hypothermia sucks if you're not underwater because you can get that not underwater. Like, let's be clear about that. Don't go in them Afghani mountains. You know what I mean?
But hypothermia underwater sucks.
Yeah.
Let me make that clear.
Oh boy!
Let me run through this list real quick so we can jump into the head-to-head. But so today's pop culture pick'em top 5 summer activities. I had the first pick: sundress gazing, drop top season, hammock naps, eating watermelon, going to the beach. Nick had the second pick. He went with baseball, swimming, fishing, fireworks, and eating ice cream. Jermaine had the third pick: cookouts, sunbathing, boats and jet skis. The pick of the draft, outdoor showers in the 4th round, and cliff jumping and snorkeling to round out his top 5.
I don't think I've ever lost a pop culture pick'em, boys.
Oh my god!
What's the series props for this? Oh wow, that's a close series.
All right, so
let's get into head-to-head, boys.
Yeah, just to take this into head-to-head. We concluded week 20 last week. Jermaine went 3-0. He had a perfect week.
No, I did not.
Yeah, you did.
Fake news.
Oh, bringing him to 23-31 on the season, and he's down 8.9 units. Nick,
I went 3-0 last week. Hold on, someone check the record.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming this Miami moneyline game was the Marlins, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so you went 3-0. And then Nick went 0-3, bringing his losing streak to 10. Right? 10. He is now 19-34-1, and he's down 5.4 units.
So much for John Rahm.
Yeah.
It has me in the lead unit-wise, I think.
Now Nevada's in the lead unit-wise.
Yeah, Nevada's kicking our asses right now.
Can we add my Nevada's paycheck to my head? By the way, for the 10s and 10s out there, I do have an announcement. Nevada will be off until this Sunday. And last I heard, he's probably going to be drinking for a lot of those days. So Challenge him to your head-to-head picks. If you have his phone number, text him around, we'll say 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific.
That's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot.
That's in. Right when he's feeling tipsy enough to spend his paycheck, but not when he's too drunk to text back.
Hey, 3:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is the time you want to pounce on a Nevada paycheck bet.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
I actually want to take a second here and thank Nevada because I was making bad bet after bad bet with you, Nick. And, for this dude to root against his own team and be at the game cheering, dude, epic story, bro. Epic story.
It's a bad look.
Listen, I'm in Room 303 bet history. I think I'm only $1,000 up now. Because I lost $1,000 to your friggin' dumb Rain Man ass fucking naming 25 presidents.
Dude, I don't even know if I could do that again, to be honest.
I don't think you can do it again.
There was a lot of question marks at the end of names thrown out, too. That's what was so funny.
I was like, Van Buren records?
And, nobody was keeping track of how many wrong guesses he had. It was all bad. My man was just shooting from the hip, just saying old-timey names.
No, you hit 15, and I was like, dude, I have this bet won. And then all of a sudden you went Will Ferrell from Old School and listed off 10 in a row.
He went state dependent on us.
No doubt, dude. I must have fucking said your code word and triggered you.
Shout out the Winter Soldier.
All right. So to keep it pushing on the head-to-head, I went 0-3 last week after a perfect week the week before. Jimmy Buckets let me down, but Miami didn't make it to the finals, so whatever. 23-31 on the season, down 5.7 units. And last week, Nevada went 0-3. 0-3, bringing him to 22, 28-1, and he's only down 2.3 units. So if there's anything you guys learned from this head-to-head is fade us, because we do not know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I had no faith in the Heat, so I took Celtics spread, and they ended up losing by the spread missed by 28 points, I believe, if that's correct.
So this is starting to build into my favorite new conspiracy theory. And people, when people ask me what my new favorite conspiracy is, I'm going to say the invasion of Vegas into gambling content companies, right? Every single game, you see a random fact pop up that has not been tracked at all throughout the series, right? Mm. I'm sure Scott Foster reffed some of those other games. Game 1 through 6, Scott Foster reffed one of those games, correct?
Sure.
When did we hear that the Heat were 0-9 under Scott Frost? Or Scott?
Last game.
Game 7, bro.
Because Vegas wants you to dump massive money on Boston plus 7.5 or Boston minus 7.5. Every single day, what do we see coming out of Bleacher Report bets and Barstool bets and on DraftKings? Oh, Joe Schmo in friggin' Davenport, Iowa just put these random parlays together. And he only spent $5 and he won $17,000. Just like you could, Jermaine, or you could, Eric, or you could, Nick. If you just put $5 down, you have the chance to win $18,000. Some of the best gamblers in our friend group. I will give them this publicly. I will say this to them. They can never quote me because I never said it. I'm drunk. Shay and CJ are some of the best parlay gamblers I know. In real life, what is the largest hit they've ever had?
$4 or $5 grand, I think.
$4 or $5 grand, maybe.
No, CJ won a $12 grand parlay.
Did he?
They won a double digits, or was that them going in together on a double digits bet?
No, if I'm not mistaken, both of them, they went on it. They made the same bet, but they didn't go on it together. I think it was a $100 parlay, and it paid them out $12,000. Or maybe, if I remember correctly, Shay's paid him out $9,000, and CJ's paid him out $12,000. It was a pretty crazy day for both of them. They had similar parlays.
Well, then that's pretty good. But dude, I am so thrown off about the number of tickets I'm seeing now of people that are They picked they picked ones that you would never pick in the history of ever. Oh, somebody picked MLS Cup winner. Somebody else picked Argentina to win the World Cup. Kansas City to win the Super Bowl. Oh, and they also parlayed it with the Miami Heat to win the NBA Finals. Like, that has no rhyme or reason. that just literally gets people who follow those accounts to go, oh, well, maybe I should put in Germany to win the World Cup. And like, you don't put in futures for that long. You don't do it as a bettor.
I mean, if you're betting titles, you do.
I will say that's one of the few futures I've hit on. Was we were in Vegas in 2017 for March Madness. It was March of 2017, and I told Manny to put any amount of money on France to win the World Cup in 2018. That's the biggest future I've ever hit. But that was one team. I didn't parlay it with a bunch of other championships.
And then did you tell Manny also to bet the winner of the Super Bowl and the winner of the NBA Finals and the winner of
of course not.
Sevilla to win the Euro League?
Of course.
Yeah, but if you're just picking somebody to win a title, that is super reasonable. Now, if you're sitting there, you're betting fucking Cubs to win over 80 games, Browns to win over 7, shit like that, that's fine. Everyone talks about who they think is going to win it all the time. All the time. The odds are posted well in advance all the time for this reason. So that's the one bet I'm not ever – because I've sat there and been like, oh, that's a good bet. That's a good bet. I like that bet. We look at these futures all the time.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with a futures bet. I'm disagreeing with 4 futures parlayed together.
I would absolutely do that.
Have you done that?
I've done it, and I've missed poorly.
That's what I'm saying. It seems, and you know what? And at the end of the day, it's my conspiracy theory. But my conspiracy
I agree with your conspiracy theory.
There are not people hitting every single day these massive wins.
I agree with that. The only thing I was saying is if I'm going to bet champions, I would bet them together. I think that's just the logical approach to me. If I was going to make a parlay, that's how I would do it personally.
I would venture to say that I don't think necessarily Nick's thing is a conspiracy.
Yeah, honestly,
I think it's a fact, my guy. I think with the way that this country and big corps market and advertise to get people hooked on things, that little slip that says, hey, I can turn a $50 bet into $900,000, that's heroin for the first time for a lot of bettors. Oh, I could do that? That looks easy. And then people go do it, and then they're hooked. So that's what it is. It's not a conspiracy. I think you're just spitting facts, brother.
I agree with that. That's why I said I agree with you as well, Nick, that a lot of these fucking parlays that pop. Because, dude, during the football week, there is always one parlay that gets to Monday Night Football, right? All last season, I was like, I would send you the parlay and I would tell you bet the other team. All last season, every Monday Night Football game, how many bets did we hit purely betting against those parlays?
Yeah, no doubt.
So I agree with that. I'm just saying that I think betting championship winners together is a logical leap. That was the only thing I was saying. Because I've done it. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to pick the MLB winner, I'm going to – especially because you get to the MLB time, right? Like, this is when I put my parlay in. I was just like, yo, the MLB playoffs are about to start. So I was just like, oh, I'm going to put money on the fucking Braves the year they didn't win. Because fuck the Braves. And then I was just like, well, Brooklyn's going to win the NBA championship, and someone's going to win the NFL Super Bowl. So, of course, someone's going to fucking win the Super Bowl. I'm just not going to guess it, right? Because I'm a fucking chotch. That's why you fade us. But we're at the 30-minute mark, boys. I'd be remiss if we didn't pause here and hit a moment of silence. For those of you at home who don't know why we just had that moment of silence, it's because I feel this longing emptiness in my heart that was once filled by NHL and NBA playoffs, and now there is no fucking game on television worth fucking watching right now because we're in the doldrums of the MLB season where they're fucking hyping up Shohei's back-to-back home runs, and I have to sit here and act like I care about it until fucking July. There's nothing left. There's no sports left. I'm a lowly Bulls fan. I'm a lowly Saints fan. Fire up the car. I'm a lonely. Oh wait, the Blackhawks got the #1 pick, so I ain't really that upset. All that,
You
bro.
don't care. You don't care about baseball yet because it's not after the All-Star game.
No, dude, because the worst part is when the NHL and the NBA playoffs are winding down. That's when I stop caring about baseball for 2 months. Right? That's the worst part. It all hits at the same time. The new feel of baseball is no longer there. Right. So I have to wait another month and a half to like get really ramped back up for baseball. And I think I think my lull with baseball might be because of the NBA NHL playoffs. Right. There might be some correlation there. But right now, it's fucking depressing. It's depressing. It's depressing. There's no NBA. It's like and then the NBA finals are so spaced out. You get one game every 72 hours, it feels like.
Yeah.
The NHL Stanley Cup is the Eastern Conference Finals was a sweep. The Western Conference Finals in the NBA was a sweep. So we didn't even get as much hoops in hockey as we were supposed to get. It's fucking brutal, dude. This is the brutalest time of year.
On a good note, I looked, here's the hoping they both go 7 games so we can get as much of this out as possible. But I'm not sure if it was done on purpose or an accident, but the schedules, they line up to where there's either a hockey game or an NBA game on, but they don't have them on the same day. So that's good because at least they space it out, and every day we get a different game. And some people aren't into hockey, some people aren't into basketball, but at least there's something on, and it's the finals, it's a championship, so it's worth watching.
Yeah, 100%. With that being said, what do we want to cover first, NHL or NBA?
I say we do NHL first.
All right. So let's get into the NHL. Nick, do you want to drive?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can just talk about it. I don't think we really need to drive. I think that it's funny that the Florida Panthers had their series locked. Okay, so first of all, let's start with this insane quote by Rod the Bod Brendamore. You two guys are sports fans, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been accused of that once or twice.
When a team in the playoffs loses 4 straight games without winning a game, it is called a
sweep.
But according to the Carolina Hurricanes coach Rod Brendamore, the Hurricanes didn't get swept in 4 games. It wasn't a sweep.
Oh, that's right. What was his nonsense?
I know you've forgotten about this because of all the kerfuffle that's happened with Miami.
No, he got mad.
Brendamore had the audacity to say that the Florida Panthers beating Carolina in 4 straight games. And let's talk about that series first. I don't think I've ever seen a puck bounce the wrong way. Besides game 1, I don't think I've ever seen a puck bounce the wrong way more times than it did in this Eastern Conference Final. If I'm a Carolina Hurricanes fan, I feel snake bitten for the last 3 years. And, this year, you looked and you saw there's this giant window of time that Carolina has, and they're going to the Eastern Conference Final, and who they have to beat, the 8-seed Panthers. Now, after they've lost, as a Carolina Hurricanes fan, your window's shrinking a little bit.
It's a
the
tough beat.
Contracts are coming up. Your guys aren't as young as they are. They just got swept in the Eastern Conference Finals. I saw a stat that Carolina has lost the last 12 Eastern Conference Final games they've played in.
They have won a Stanley Cup before, or no? They just
2006 is when the Hurricanes won. Yeah.
Okay. Wait. That's not what I read today. Hold on, wait. Are you sure they won?
2006, yes. Completely positive. Because that was the year that Cam Ward won the Conn Smythe Trophy as a rookie goaltender.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Carolina.
Yes.
Carolina has one before.
Yes.
My
the Florida
apologies.
Panthers have never won. No.
My apologies. I was getting my wires crossed.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So to pick up where Nick left off there, so let's just point out some parallels between the NBA and the NHL, and then we'll get into the into the NHL, right? Both West #1 seeds for NHL and NBA have made the finals. both East number 8 seeds have made the finals. Both Eastern number 8 seeds are from South Florida, and they beat heavy favorite Boston teams to get there, right? And then, so now let's get into the NHL, right? So the Stanley Cup, as Eric has the odds put up, the Golden Knights are minus 125 favorites to win the cup. I actually think that's a fantastic bet. I think everyone should place that bet, especially if you're getting minus 125 juice. I'm not saying Florida is bad. I just love what I've seen from the Vegas Golden Knights this postseason. I do think Florida is a good bet as well at plus money because they have the better goaltender in this series. But Hill coming in for an injured what was the guy's name who got injured for Vegas, Nick? Do you remember his name? I think I might be able to find it. Give me 1 sec. He was Laurent Brossoit. So he came in for Laurent Brossoit in the second round, but Bobrovsky's been lights out. He's the Conn Smythe favorite. And the road they took to get here, the Vegas Golden Knights beat the Jets in 5, the Oilers in 6, and the Stars in 6. The Florida Panthers beat the Bruins in 7, the Leafs in 5, and the Hurricanes in 4.
I mean, let's continue talking about the parallels, right? You saw the first 3 games between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics and the Knights and the Stars. You were like, oh, we're going to see both sweeps, right?
Uh-huh.
So here's what's funny. You have never seen a ball bounce the wrong way if you're a Lakers fan than the 4 games you saw in the Western Conference Finals, right? It seemed like everything. Jokic hit 2 3-pointers that I think he shot up into the rafters and came back down as the shot clock was expiring over Anthony Davis, who I think is 9 foot 10 foot 12. I think.
Yeah, he hit 2 of those in one game. In
Right.
the series, he hit like 4 or 5.
Right.
So at that point, is that luck or skill? Let me ask you that.
He does it enough. I mean, it's skill, but you saw both those games in both those series. And you're like, man, you got to feel snake bitten as a Lakers fan in this series. You got to feel snake bitten as a Hurricanes fan. And then you looked at the other 2 series, and Vegas really didn't make it close.
No,
it was 3 games of dominance, and Miami didn't really make it close, right?
Both went up 3-0.
Game 1 was close. The Celtics gave up in game 3.
Absolutely quit.
We talked about this last week. Quit playing basketball in game 3.
Facts.
They're done, right? I think Dallas got beat 6-1 in game 3. Something like that.
Dallas, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I remember Eric and I were sitting there trying to watch the game, and the Vegas Golden Knights just kept scoring goals.
Right.
And we're like, okay, we don't care anymore. This is put them out of their misery, take them out back, cock the shotgun, and fucking put a bullet in them. They're done.
Right. We were already looking forward to what we got, and then or what we were getting, and all of a sudden. Chugga. Here comes Dallas.
This is why we play the game.
They scrap out 2 wins. Here comes Boston finally playing like that Boston team we know they can with the 3-headed monster. Chugga. Right?
Yeah.
And then Vegas, and then again another parallel. Vegas dominates game 6. The Heat dominate game 7.
The Heat actually were going to win game 6 if it weren't for arguably one of the most miraculous shots in NBA Finals history, right?
Miraculous rebounds, I'd say.
The most miraculous play ever. I don't know. As a coach, you cannot draw up a play that ends with Marcus Smart taking a 3 to fucking try to win the game. Right? Marcus Smart misses the 3 as we all fucking expected when we saw him catch the ball.
And short.
Yeah.
Misses the 3 and how.
And then the Miami Heat forget to do the most important thing on defense. Box out.
They were ball gazing.
Why the fuck are you still watching the ball? Go get the fucking ball. That's the most important thing in basketball is the fucking ball. I don't understand what happened on that play. Shout out Derek White with his big ass forehead and terrible receding hairline for getting that fucking bounce back put in and in time to force a game 7, the two best words in sports. But
0.2 seconds left on the clock when the ball leaves his hand. I mean, a 1983 NC State like missed three, almost looked set up. It was done so well.
Yeah, it almost looked like they drew it up. So let's get into the actual NHL game. I'm gonna give you guys some interesting tidbits that I found online while I was researching some of this ball game. So no matter how you swing it in this NHL Stanley Cup final, we will crown a first-time champion. Right? Both teams are in their second Stanley Cup Finals appearance in history. Florida was swept by Colorado in 96. The Vegas Knights lost in 5 to Washington in 2018. Here's another crazy parallel on that. Both head coaches are in their second Stanley Cup seeking their first win as well. So Paul Maurice is the Jesus Christ, I didn't even write this down. Paul Maurice is the Vegas Golden Knights coach, correct? Or is he the Florida Panthers coach?
Oh, Bruce Cassidy is the Vegas Golden Knights coach.
Bruce Cassidy is the Vegas Knights. All right. So Paul Maurice is the Panthers coach. He lost to Carolina. Oh, sorry. He was the coach of Carolina. They lost to Detroit in 0-2 in 5 games after winning the first game. He's 26th all-time in playoff wins at 53, and he's tied for ninth most he's 6th in postseason wins without having a championship. Bruce Cassidy led the Boston Bruins to the Stanley Cup Finals to face the St. Louis Blues in 2019 and lost in 7. Fuck the Blues. Nobody likes the Blues, right? He's 30th all-time with 50 wins in postseason history, and he's tied for 9th most postseason wins to not have a championship, right? Last thing I'm going to talk about is 2 different players that I want to spotlight, one from Vegas and one from Florida. Marchessault, who has been one of my favorite players to watch this postseason. He's been playing lights fucking out for the Vegas Knights. He's facing his former team. He actually has 9 goals this postseason. That's what I remember from when I was watching. If he scored one more, then I didn't make note of it. But has 9 goals. He's Vegas's all-time leader in goals, assists, points, and tied for games played with Carlson, who is actually the Vegas Golden Knights goal leader in postseason, in a single postseason run this year with 10. So him and Marchessault are playing lights out. Those totals respectively are 150, 198, 348, and 432. He's also their all-time playoff scoring leader with 63 points, who's tied with Smith, who is also a former Florida Panther. So you have some parallels here. Then Bobrovsky, right, the goalie for Florida, who has been playing lights out in what we always talk about, you ride your goaltender to the Stanley Cup. That is what always wins Stanley Cups. That's why the Devils got crushed. That's why the Stars got crushed. He had a 1.12 goals against in the conference finals with a .966 save percentage. And he's 11-1 with a 1.95 goals against, a .942 save percentage, and 1 shutout since Game 4 versus Boston in Round 1. He's only gotten better as the postseason has gotten on. In Round 1, he allowed 17 goals in 5 games. And then in Round 2, he allowed 10 goals in 5 games. In Round 3, he had 6 goals in 4 games. So those are two players I want to spotlight, and now we can go ahead and dissect the matchup between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers.
Also, something I want to add, and maybe a betting nugget for next year. This is the third straight year that the previous year's President's Trophy winner has made it to the Stanley Cup. The last two won the Stanley Cup. Of course, 2019, Tampa Bay Lightning. 2021, Colorado Avalanche, because we're not considering the bubble, right? 2022, Florida Panthers.
So they have the best goalie in the series, and usually we tell you if they have the best goalie. If they have the best goalie, you bet them. I will tell you this. The Vegas Golden Knights look like the best team all postseason. From what I watched, from all the teams playing, I still thought the Vegas Golden Knights, and I have one name to mention that kind of sways my debate there. Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel in his first postseason experience, right? Since his fiasco with the Buffalo Sabres, he was once heralded as one of the next big hockey players and, had this weird injury fallout with the Buffalo Sabres that ended up with him in Vegas, has 18 points, 6 goals, 12 assists in 17 games. But is Hill good enough to get the job done? Now, I don't know. I don't know if Hill is good enough. I'm not super convinced in how good Hill is, but as a team, I think the Vegas Golden Knights are set up for success.
We'll bring this up, however, to play point counterpoint. We'll bring this up when it comes to the Miami Heat. House money is a very, very dangerous thing.
Ooh, hey, they ain't got nothing to lose. The 18's not supposed to be here.
And on paper, the Vegas Golden Knights check almost every single box, except for maybe goaltender. Or sorry. Yeah, I know. Sorry, that is to your point, Jermaine. I just realized what you were saying. To your point, the Vegas Golden Knights have looked like the better team.
Right.
But Florida has the best goalie, the history, and the house money.
And here's the thing is Hill is 7-3 with a 2.07 goals against, right? A 9.37 save percentage and 2 shutouts in 11 games, 9 starts for Vegas this postseason, right? That's pretty fucking outstanding in its own right.
Not too bad.
But there's a reason why Bobrovsky and Tkachuk are the 2 favorites to win the Conn Smythe. Eric, can you pull up the Conn Smythe odds for us? So Conn Smythe, for those of you who are unfamiliar, Conn Smythe is the MVP of the postseason, right? Does the Conn Smythe factor in, Nick, answer this for me. I may be unknowledgeable here. Does the Conn Smythe factor in the whole playoffs, or is it just the finals?
Correct, whole playoffs.
Whole playoffs, right? So that's why Bobrovsky's the leader. Tkachuk is number 2. I mean, those 2 have been Batman to the other person's Batman in this postseason. Tkachuk has 3 overtime goal winners. Were they all against the Carolina Hurricanes? They were, right? That's why we were talking about the puck bouncing the wrong way.
I don't think they only went to overtime twice in the Hurricanes games.
Yeah. So, that's what it is. He leads the NHL with 3 overtime goals and has 4 game-winning goals.
There you go.
So he had 3 game-winning goals. So against Carolina, he scored overtime goals in games 1 and 2, and the game winner with 4.9 seconds left in game 4. That was the game that I was watching where Carolina was going to try to get it to overtime and force a game 5.
Right.
It's been lights out. Just to spotlight some of the other Vegas players. Marchessault, 17 points, 9 goals, 8 assists in 17 games. Oh, excuse me, boys. Mark Stone, 15 points, 6 goals, 9 assists in 17 games. And Carlson, 14 points, 10 goals, 4 assists in 17 games. Man, And so those are some of your Conn Smythe players, right? As Eric has the odds up there. So Jack Eichel, Carlson, Marchessault, Stone, and Hill, the 5 Vegas Knights players that we've kind of talked about in this podcast, round out the top 7, with the Florida Panthers having the 2 odds-on favorite should they win the Stanley Cup. Nick, when was the last time a non-Stanley Cup winner won the Conn Smythe? Does that ever happen?
That's a great question. I think it happened with a goalie back in the day.
I think it was in the 2000s. I'm pretty
There
sure
have been 5 players who have won the Conn Smythe Trophy while playing for a non-Stanley Cup winning squad.
Yeah.
Roger Crozier, Glenn Hall, Reggie Leach, Ron Hextall, and John Sebastian. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name.
John Sebastian Jaguar was the last person to win.
Yeah.
He was a goalie in 2003. He was a Ducks goalie. And basically was the only reason that the Ducks were in that fucking postseason.
All right, so I'm down to 1 beer. I'm gonna ask you boys this: who do you have winning the Conn Smythe?
I think it routinely goes to goalies if they continue to play well, and goalies don't cool down very often. So Bobrovsky's going to get my vote.
Bobrovsky's going to get your vote, and Eric, you?
Bobrovsky's going to get my vote as well, but he's not going to win it. He's not going to be number 6 on that list.
Oh, he's winning the Stanley. For a little foreshadowing. Is this a professional podcast? Who would have guessed? All right. So with that being said, Eric, who do you have winning the Stanley Cup?
Florida in 6.
Florida in 6, and Nick, you?
Yeah, you can't miss the goalie. The best. I'll say it again. The best American-born player in the NHL right now. Eat your heart out, Austin Matthews.
Who's the best? Tkachuk?
Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk.
That's
and playing with house money and history. Give me the Florida Panthers, but I think it'll go to 7 because that's what they're going to need to overcome Vegas. And Vegas is so good at playing the game of hockey.
I have not watched a single team that I thought is better than Vegas this postseason. I think I've continuously iterated it in our group chat. I've continuously been floored with the way they find ways to win, with how balanced they feel on attack, with how powerful and dominant they feel in power plays and things like that. I'm going to say Vegas. I absolutely think this series goes 7. My Conn Smythe winner is Marchessault. I think that's partly biased because I've enjoyed watching him skate so much this postseason. Now let's get into the NBA. Let's wrap it rather quickly so that way we can get into the special announcement. So for the NBA, right? Let's set the stage, right? So Denver beat Minnesota 4-1 in the first round. Miami beat Milwaukee 4-1 in the first round. Denver beat Phoenix in the second round 4-2. Miami beat the Knicks in the second round 4-2. Denver beat the Lakers in the conference finals 4-0. How embarrassing. The Lakers couldn't even get one fucking win. And the Heat beat Boston 4-3 after relinquishing a 3-0 lead to make it a best-of-1 series. So here's a fun little factoid for you guys. Nuggets are the 3rd largest favorite in the last 20 years in the NBA Finals. The number 4 odds, oddly enough, right, of the top 4 were the Los Angeles Lakers at -350 versus Miami at +290 in 2020. The biggest odds in the last 20 years was the Golden State Warriors in 2018, who had a -1075 chance of winning the NBA Finals versus the Cavaliers, who were 688. And then the second largest of all time were the Spurs in 2007. Excuse me, boys. At -450 versus the Cavaliers at +360. Let's go ahead and get into that. So the odds for this one is shifted from what Eric is presenting now. The odds when it opened was Nuggets -360, which has now been bet up to -425, and the Heat at +300, which is now sitting at +320. So a few things to note. If the Heat don't, so I'll ask that question later. So it's Nuggets offense versus Heat defense. Nuggets defense is actually worse than Boston and Milwaukee, although they did take a step up this postseason. Is Miami able to keep its red hot offense to make the series? Is my big question. That's my burning question of this series. If they're able to play the Heat defense that they play, and they're able to score with the Nuggets, this should be a fascinating series. The number 1 and 2 teams in the playoffs based on points per jump shot are Denver and Miami. The number 2 player in the postseason who is for points per jump shot is Caleb Martin. The number 4 player is Jamal Murray. All right, so now let's go ahead and touch on some of the factoids that will happen, right, for the Nuggets. If the Nuggets win, they will become only the second ABA team to win an NBA championship. Would you guys like to guess?
San Antonio Spurs.
The San Antonio Spurs, correct, sir. All right.
How many ABA teams were there? 6?
I think there were 6. I'm fairly certain it's 6. Okay. Spurs, Nuggets, Nets, Trailblazers, I believe.
Yeah, it would make sense.
I think the Golden State Warriors were another one. This will be something that our EP will look up for us to make sure that I'm not full of shit. So the Nuggets have lost 3 games all postseason, and they're undefeated at home. They have not faced elimination. Jokic is the 3rd player to average a triple-double entering the finals in NBA history. Would you guys like to guess who the other 2 players are?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Incorrect.
Oh. Julius Erving.
Incorrect.
Well, hold on. Give me the stats one more time.
Jokic is the 3rd player to average a triple-double entering the finals. Who were the other 2?
LeBron
James. It's not Tim Duncan, not LeBron.
Oscar Robinson.
All right, here.
Bill Russell.
Here. 1982 and 1967 were the years.
Moses Malone.
No. The Sixers didn't make the finals in 82.
Oh, that was 83. 82 was Lakers Celtics.
Correct. So take a guess on who Magic Johnson.
67
all right. So
was Jerry.
It was Wilt Chamberlain.
All right.
Both of those teams that had a player averaging a triple-double going into the finals won the championship. Murray, here's the favorite stat I read about the NBA finals going into this, right? Jamal Murray is the 2nd player to average 30-plus points on 50, 40, 90 shooting in multiple playoff series since. I'll give you each 2 guesses, and then I'll tell you who it is. No, it's not Kobe, Jason.
No, you said 30 points?
To average 30 points on 50 from the field, 40 from 3, and 90 from the free throw line in multiple playoff series in the same postseason.
Steph Curry.
It is not Steph Curry. It's only one other person that Jamal Murray joined.
Allen Iverson.
It is not Allen Iverson.
Michael Jordan.
It is not Michael Jordan. Eric, take a guess.
In 2 playoff series, did this team make the finals?
In multiple playoff series, yes.
Was it Magic?
It was Kevin Durant.
Oh my God! That's what I was thinking. You fucking.
Jokic leads all players in assists in this postseason. That's just something I wanted to spotlight. So now let's get into the Heat. If the Heat win, they will become the first 8 seed to win an NBA title. First 8 seed to make the NBA Finals in a full 82-game season. They beat the 1 seed, the 2 seed, and the 5 seed to get here. He had made 7 finals since 2006. That is the most of any team. Would you like to guess who's second of those teams? Warriors, absolutely correct. Yeah. A lot of people aren't talking about this. This is one thing I kept spotlighting in the Boston Celtics series when Eric and I were sitting on the couch. It's easy to armchair couch fucking talk about sports, but Jimmy Butler is hurt. He sprained his ankles in the New York Knicks series and missed a game. Let's see how that factors into this postseason. Eric Spoelstra has made his 6th finals. He's tied for the most among active coaches. He is 4th all time. Would you like to guess who's made more finals than Eric Spoelstra?
Pat Riley.
1. That is correct.
Philip Jackson.
That is correct.
Pop.
It is not Pop.
Red Auerbach.
That is correct.
Yes! Eric.
Eric Spoelstra is tied right now for most among active coaches, Eric, which is you just named him. Pop.
Yeah. I was like, Steve Kerr? No.
Pop and Steve Kerr.
Oh, okay.
Yes, those are both the correct answers. Yes.
I know what the fuck I'm talking about, Nick. Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
Biggest thing to watch is Tyler Hero's return, right? Tyler Hero's return.
Game 3.
He 50,000 MVP.
He averaged 20 points per game for the Heat in the regular season. That is a big deal. One thing to watch for the Miami Heat is zone defense, right? Celtics average sub 1 point per possession versus the zone. They faced it 99 times in the Celtics Heat series. They average 0.90 points per possession. League average is above 1 per possession. So that's absolutely miserable. Versus the zone, the Boston Celtics shot 17.4% from 3.
Denver's not good.
Absolutely fucking mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. And I have one last thing before we get into it. So, Eric, what do I always tell you? To the mark of a good NBA player is what they do, how they increase their statistics from the regular season to
playoffs.
The playoffs, right? That is one thing I always watch for. The largest career increase in points per game from regular season to playoffs in NBA history, Jamal Murray plus 8.5 points per game. Mm-hmm. Would you like to guess who comes in second? Also in this series.
Jimmy Butler.
No. Nikola Jokic at plus 7.1 points per game. Here's a crazy stat. I just want for true hoop heads, they will care about this as players not in this NBA Finals. Jalen Brunson plus 6.6 points per game comes in at number 3. Reggie King at plus 6.5 points per game, and Randy Whitman at plus 5.4 points per game. This is only statistics based on a minimum of 20 playoff games. All right. So now that we've now that we've discussed the Nuggets versus Heat, how do you guys feel about this? Let's start with who do you think wins Finals MVP?
It's pretty easy for me. I think Jokic wins Finals MVP.
All right. And Nick?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to look past Jokic. So I'll go chalk. Although I would love to see Jamal win it.
Jamal Murray?
Jamal Murray, yeah.
All right, so I guess that kind of foreshadows. Here we go. So pick a team and pick how many games you think it gets done in. Nick, who do you have winning the NBA Finals?
Man, on paper, the Denver Nuggets look like the better team, and they should roll through this. But tell that to the teams that we're going to win on paper against the Heat in every single one.
If we win by paper, we wouldn't play the games.
I am very, very concerned about the Heat in Game 7 and Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. If they come out like that, it is going to be a 7-game series. If they let the Denver Nuggets play how Denver played against the Lakers, aka minimizing fouls, minimizing mistakes, and being able to utilize players not named Nikola Jokic, they will do extremely well against the Miami Heat. I will say this. It will either be Nuggets in 4 or a toss-up in 7.
Okay. All right, but you have the Nuggets winning regardless.
I will utter on the podcast, I will come out and I will utter woo for the Nuggets if they win.
We got a reluctant Nuggets fan on the podcast. All right, Eric.
Woo.
Who do you got winning this finals?
So just to give a little context, Denver's 8-0 at home. It's a known fact that playing at that altitude hurts players. It makes players tired in the fourth quarter. At the rate at which the Heat play basketball and their intensity on defense, I think it will be a factor. I think Jimmy Butler's good enough to win one, unlike LeBron. So I'm going to go with Denver in 5. And I want to point out, Nick, thank you for saying that the Nuggets kept the Lakers off the foul line, because even though it seemed like it was an unfair advantage, the Lakers were getting there more. Their numbers dropped from where they were from January 1st, 2023 up into the playoffs, which is what got them into the playoffs, was the favorable calls. When we saw those favorable calls go away against Denver, 4-0. So Denver in 5, Jokic MVP. That's what I got.
I talked about it all regular season. The free throw disparity from January 1st, 2023 for the Los Angeles Lakers was something like 8 more free throws per game. The NBA willed the Los Angeles Lakers into the postseason. LeBron James, since middle December, was shooting 31.7% from 3. The NBA willed the Los Angeles Lakers into the playoffs. I don't want to hear anyone talk about it. I don't want to hear about they were the more aggressive team. The Lakers averaged less drives per game than the Golden State Warriors. Do not tell me they were the more aggressive team. If you want to say that, back it up with the statistics, because it's not there. Drives per game matter because that's where you get fouled in the cup. So you're telling me you have less drives per game, but you're going to shoot 10, 15 more free throws than the Warriors every single time? And then it's like, oh, that's the most low IQ thing. I was like, are you watching the game? Because I am. I'm watching it. I'm fucking blown away by what the refs are doing. Every single game, I have to sit there and be floored by it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the Warriors were going to beat the Lakers. I don't think so. I had the Lakers making the finals. But let's fucking call a spade is all I'm saying. I think the Heat win this series. And I may be contrarian. This is the same squad. They changed almost no players from the team that was the number 1 seed last year in the Eastern Conference. Right? The Heat have 5 players with NBA Finals experience. Would you like to tell me how many players the Nuggets have?
So, Caldwell Pope, 1.
KCP.
Yeah.
KCP. Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm going to bet the Heat. I'm going to take Spoelstra. I think this series goes 6, and I think the Miami Heat stun the world. Now, with that being said, before we bring in our special guests for the special announcement, I want to ask you one question, and then actually we could bring in the special guests now, and then I could ask the question because one of them is a hoop head. So we'll go ahead and introduce our 2 special guests. So we would like to invite Revenge of the Pod to join us. We have co-hosts of Revenge of the Pod, Luigi Orozco and Jason Escudero. Thank you for joining us, boys. Before we get into our special announcement, go ahead and say something to the people, and then I have a question for everybody.
What's up, guys? I was trying to not to get annoyed by your Lakers talk, but you know what? I kind of have to agree with you. It still hurts. Still hurts. But yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm excited about this next announcement.
All right. And that was Jason, for those of you who are listening on audio. And Luigi?
What's up, guys? Got our podcast. We're going to be working on a little bit differently. Good to see y'all.
All right, dope. Thanks for joining us, boys. So I have one question. Everyone could chime in. I'll point to each person to give their piece. That way we're not talking over each other. I just have one question. I want to know, if the Heat don't win, right, if my prediction doesn't come true, and if we all know the podcast motto, fade us, is Jimmy Butler, should he retire today, a Hall of Famer? All right, I'll start with Nick because Nick perked up. His ears perked up. So let's start with Nick. Nick, if the Heat don't win and Jimmy Butler retired after this finals, is Jimmy Butler a Hall of Famer?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so? All right.
I don't think so.
All right. So let's go to Luigi. Luigi, if the Heat don't win and Jimmy Butler were to retire after this NBA Finals, is Jimmy Butler, excuse me, the beer is creeping up, a Hall of Famer?
I've been unplugged from NBA for a bit, but if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't won a title yet, has he?
No, he has not.
I don't know if he's as good as Charles Barkley was. I don't know if that necessarily would give him what he needs to get into.
Never won an MVP. You're right. So
okay, all right. So we got two no's. We got two no's. So let's go to the self-proclaimed hoop heads of the five of us right now. So Jason, if the Heat don't win, and keep in mind nobody's picking the Heat to win. They're the third largest dogs in NBA Finals history. Is Jimmy Butler a Hall of Famer?
I say yes, just simply because of all the teams that he's been in since leaving Chicago, has taken them to the playoffs and excelled, right? Obviously, they've been bounced. Obviously, with Miami, taking them to the finals in 2020, carrying that team and carrying them in the playoffs, that the whole series, everything that he's done for this team in the playoffs every time, I'm going to have to say yes, just simply about what he's done in every team that he's been in, and just the mentality and just him being Jimmy Butler, right? So
right.
I'm going to have to say yes. I say
all
yes.
right, so we got two no's, we got one yes. Eric, if the Heat don't win, and I'll say it again, nobody's picking him. Nobody's picking him. Is Jimmy Butler a Hall of Famer?
So before I answer this, I want to say when you hear stories about these legendary Hall of Fame players, right? You always hear these stories about he did this or he was that or he was this kind of animal, he was this kind of enforcer or whatever. He's in the Hall of Fame because of that story about punking out the starters in Minnesota, running to the showers, then doing an interview about punking them, and then demanding a trade, and then taking that team one crazy shot away from one crazy lucky bounce away from being probably in the finals with the Sixers, 2 trips to the finals with the Heat, 6-time All-Star, All-NBA second team, 4-time All-NBA third team, 5-time All-NBA defensive second team, most improved player. I say he's a Hall of Famer. I say he's a Hall of Famer. There's a lot of dudes in the league that have in the Hall of Fame that have made it on less credentials than that. And he's Michael Jordan's son. So, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
So, look, I am super biased, right? So I am going to abstain from this. We're going to sit at a 2-2 tie, and we're going to let the rest of his career speak to that. But I will say, right, there have been, of the last, since 2010, right, there have been 5 incredibly successful teams, right? You have the Golden State Warriors, 4 championships. You have the LeBron D. Wade, Miami Heat, right? 2 championships, 4 finals appearances. You have the Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum, who have made 4 Eastern Conference Finals and 1 NBA Finals. And you have the Miami Heat, right? The Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler have made 3 Eastern Conference Finals, 2 NBA Finals, and the other team is the LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Those are the 5 most dominant teams that have dominated the last 13 plus years of basketball. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to answer the question because I am the most biased person when it comes to this question. I just felt it was very interesting.
Hey,
now, I'll be
not to mention Eric's story about the Minnesota where he showers interviews. He interviews with Rachel Michels. There's another story with him in the bubble, supposedly in the hotel dribbling a basketball. But everyone knows that he was hooking up with Rachel Michels. So he's a dog, man. He's a Hall of Famer in my book.
Clapping them cheeks. We can neither confirm nor deny for those listening. None of us talked to Jimmy Butler, but there are dots you can connect. All right, so Before we wrap up today's podcast, episode 200, we have something that we want to announce. It's why we brought in Luigi and Jason, as we mentioned before, co-hosts of Revenge of the Pod. So there's been a period of upheaval for Room 303 the last 2.5 months. There's been some indecision, some unfettered waters of where we were going to go. And so we created a strategy as a group and decided to pivot collectively. So starting with episode 201 of podcast Room 303, we will actually be turning the Room 303 podcast into a brand that houses multiple podcasts. Our very first podcast, we take very great pleasure in announcing the very first podcast. That very first podcast that's going to come under the Room 303 brand is going to be Revenge of the Pod. So I'll turn it over to you, Luigi and Jason. You can give us a little breakdown of what your podcast is about and how you see this realignment bringing better favor to you.
So to start off, thank you, Jermaine, for including us in this. We were pretty excited when you gave us the news. It would make everything a little more streamlined for us, and we're able to get on a lot more streaming services so that the listeners can hopefully catch us on different things. That's been a big obstacle for us. So thank you so much for that. We are going to be on pretty much everything, guys, from YouTube to Stitcher to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, still on Spotify. We're going to be there. And we're hoping to have more collaboration with the members of Room 303 Network. So I'm really excited about it. Jason?
Yeah, man. Especially, I mean, we love sports, but if I'm being completely honest, we're not as knowledgeable as you guys. You guys definitely do your research. Not much of a better, but I love listening to betting. So it's kind of nice listening to your podcast and just being under you guys' umbrella. It's just awesome. I feel like we got you guys Kendall Royed us in episode 1 of Succession. We're like Lawrence, you know. I know you saw that episode. And we couldn't say no. It's just the opportunities that you guys gave us and just being under umbrella, and hopefully we can all grow together. And we would obviously, you know, you guys been guests of ours. Not yet Nick, but hopefully soon. Just talk about, you know, nerd culture, pop culture, all that stuff. You guys have your pop culture pick'em, which we enjoy. And we just keep tagging along to that kind of stuff. And talk about shows and movies that we'd love to see. Hopefully doing reviews in a website that hopefully that's going to come eventually, but there's going to be a lot more for us to come, which I'm sure J-Man and Room 303 will obviously announce. So yeah, we're definitely excited.
Outstanding. So for those of you who've been listening to us for 200 episodes, this started with a conversation Nick and I had when we first met. It was almost like we were instant best friends. We'd known each other for 20 plus years. And so this is what Room 303 is developing. So starting next week, right, the very first week of June, as we're recording today is the last day of May, 31 May of 2023. 1 month after our 3-year anniversary, we are now taking Room 303 into a full-fledged brand where we're gonna offer more exciting things. We're gonna bring merchandise. We're gonna launch websites where we actually create original content to help, you know, navigate you, the listener, through, you know, an oversaturated world, right? So, and that's what we try to cut through. We want to bring you information. We want to bring you, you know, enjoyment, something that helps you escape for an hour at a time. And so that's the goal here at Room 303. So, you know, we have the flagship podcast Room 303, where we will continue to discuss betting futures. We will reveal more as the time comes as far as the offerings that we're going to have. Some of you who are faithful listeners may be familiar with the rabbit hole that Nick and I created on the fly on one episode where we just went down rabbit holes. And so who knows, maybe that becomes another one of the offerings. But long story short, to the listeners, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us week in, week out. We very much enjoy it. We're always shocked to see how many numbers we are. Luigi and Jason, I believe you're at 58 episodes, right? So you're at 58 episodes. I mean, we're filming episode 200 right now. I'm not sure that any of us ever thought we would get to these gaudy numbers. They seem fictitious in our head. They seem almost absurd. And somehow, some way, we still have people tuning in, commenting, letting us know their feedback. So before we sign out, I'm going to turn it over to Nick and ask him for his retrospect of the last 3 years and kind of, the forward facing of the next 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of conversations that I've had online. Obviously, Jay, Luigi, like your stuff is great. Like it's really funny for me to say that, like, as a podcast host, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. But you guys have a really good podcast, and it's not just we're bringing you guys in because we, because it's like, oh, it's good for us, and now to be under the Room 303 umbrella, we don't do anything that we don't actually believe in. So, we've all, Eric and Jermaine have been guests on your show. I've listened to a couple of episodes, and it's entertaining stuff, and it's great. And we're happy to see where we can move forward in the future with you guys. From Room 303, it started from a dorm room on a basically deserted island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, right? It was
just south of nowhere.
We'll include a background section on our website if we ever get there, or on our tombstone somewhere. But I mean, this literally did just start because we had many a night either that we remember or that we don't, where Jermaine and I would just sit and talk sports because it was the only quit. It was the only thing to do, right? And now we have all these new things in our life, and that fucking dog's one of them. And it's just really cool. If you would have told me that 3 years ago I'd still be doing this, I don't do anything for 3 years, right? I mean, like there's not a lot of stuff that I do for 3 years, but pretty much every week we've done this Room 303, and it's come everywhere from, 3-hour episodes in which Jermaine and I didn't know our asshole from a hole in the ground and just fucking talked and gave our NFL 300 to something now that I think that we think is a marketable product, and we've started to expand out. So I mean, it's something that I obviously like. We say the 10s and 10s jokingly, but I'm forever grateful to you guys who listen to the podcast and tune into the podcast. We wouldn't keep doing this, like Jermaine said, if we didn't get such great feedback from our friends. And we're glad that everybody enjoys it, and we're going to keep doing what we enjoy. And I really think that comes out in the podcast, that people can see that we enjoy this, and we put in the work to it. So that's it. I'm excited for where we're moving in the summer of 2023 and moving into future years. I think we have a great brand to put out, and we have some great ideas that have been sitting on the back burner since the very beginning of those conversations in Room 303. So it's really exciting to be now seeing the fruition of those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. So we'll turn it over to Eric, and then we'll sign off. And hopefully you join us next week for the official launch, the official brand of the new Room 303. So Eric, go ahead.
Yeah. So
and
first,
dude, that's the end of episode 200.
I almost waited to say something because Nick had that look in his eye, dude. Nick had that look in his eye.
It's been too long.
You guys can expect more of that for years to come, apparently. So, yeah. No, but I wouldn't be doing my executive producer job if I didn't tell you guys that the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Pacers, and the Nets were the 4 ABA teams that were absorbed by the NBA. So that was the merger. As far as in regards to the announcement that we made today, look, it's a blessing to do this. It's something that, I enjoy doing. It's stress-free most of the time. And I think I'm just, Jermaine, Jason, childhood friends, Luigi, almost a childhood friend, Nick, we've grown and bonded together. So I'm just appreciative of the people I get to do this with. Glad to bring on two of my very good friends to continue growing and expanding and just see where this goes. Yeah, I love you guys. I love our 10s and 10s. I love doing this. It's great. I'm just excited for what's going to be coming moving forward. So, tune in, check it out, fall in love, and keep checking us out because we got some big things coming. So that's my piece on it.
All right. So, Jason, Luigi, anything else before we sign off?
That's it. Hopefully soon be 20s and 20s, right?
Hey, don't be too
audacious. The pod after Room 303, guys. Tune in.
Yeah, as Luigi said, please go follow, subscribe, listen to Revenge of the Pod, the newest Room 303 offering for all things pop culture, comic books, movies, television. As Luigi likes to say, we're not nerds. But thank you very much for 200 episodes. We couldn't have done it without you. What a crazy ride it's been. I always hate when people say that cheesy nostalgia type shit, but when you get to those kind of milestones and things that you're trying to accomplish and do, you kind of see why people resonate and vibrate in that way. So for Luigi, for Jason, for executive producer Eric, for my co-host Nick, and myself, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And we'll see you next time when you come on down and step into the room.